Welcome everyone to this webinar in support of the International Year of Camelids. My name is Shin Huang, and I have the pleasure and the honor to host you today in this 70-minute webinar, 70 minutes to cover such a vast topic with an array of very interesting speakers from around the world. Welcome on behalf of the Food and Agriculture Organization. Welcome on behalf of the Global Agenda for Sustainable Livestock. Welcome to our speakers and our experts, and of course, a very warm welcome to all of you participants from around the world who are joining us today. So we do have a very short time frame here, so I'm going to get right to the topic. This webinar is one in a series of webinars. There are about 5 or 6 of them that are being held in the months leading up to the September meeting hosted at FAO on which is called the Global Conference for Sustainable Livestock Transformation. So today our topic is, of course, camelids. And let me hand over the floor now to the host organization, and I believe it's either Tanawat or
we should have
it's me, probably.
Okay, please go ahead. My apologies. Go ahead. Please introduce yourself and give us the introduction.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. And good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone. My name is Giacomo De Besi, and I'm an animal production officer at the FAO Animal Production and Health Division. I'm very honored to speak today at this webinar on behalf of the Secretariat of the International Year of Camelids. The International Year of Camelids 2024 presented a unique opportunity to raise awareness of economic, social, and cultural importance of camelids, and to foster the consumption of the goods these animals produce. To celebrate the year, FAO and partners have organized hundreds of events at global, regional, and national levels and produced a wide range of communication and outreach material, which has reached millions of people from across regions. FAO, as the UN lead agency for the International Year of Camelids, thanks the government of the plurinational state of Bolivia for proposing this international year. We also wish to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for its generous financial contribution and for co-chairing the International Year of Camelids Steering Committee together with Bolivia. Camelids, as you all well know, live in some of the most challenging environments on the planet, from dry heat to harsh cold. From the deserts of Africa and Asia to South America's Andean highlands, camelids play a key role in the lives and cultures of millions of people, especially highly vulnerable communities. Even in the most extreme climatic conditions, they provide nutritious food, fiber, and organic fertilizer, and provide transport, boosting food security, nutrition, and livelihoods, while helping to conserve fragile ecosystems. Camelids play a key role in the identity and culture of local communities and indigenous peoples. They are true heroes of resilience and support people in drylands and mountain regions, build resilience to the impacts of the climate crisis. For all these reasons, the camelid sector has untapped potential to help advance global efforts to achieve the SDGs. Ladies and gentlemen, today's webinar is a great opportunity to highlight the achievements and lessons learned from the IYC and to enhance engagement of relevant stakeholders to build on the legacy of this international year. It will serve as a platform for sharing knowledge, experiences, good practices, and perspectives, both within and across regions. As the structure of the camelid sector is changing in many countries across the world, increased focus and cooperation are needed not only to address challenges, but also to seize new opportunities. FAO will continue to help strengthening partnerships among camelid countries and all the other relevant stakeholders contributing to FAO's Sustainable Livestock Transformation Framework in support of more efficient, more inclusive, more resilient, and more sustainable agri-food systems. Ladies and gentlemen, the closing ceremony of the International Year of Camelids will be held at FAO headquarters on 30th of June 2025, but our celebration of camelids shouldn't end there. Let us continue celebrating the heroes of deserts and highlands beyond the IYC and into the International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists, which will be observed next year in 2026. So let me conclude by wishing you all a productive discussion and a fruitful webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Giacomo. Thank you very much for the invitation relative to the closing ceremony of the International Year of Camelids hosted at FAO, and also for the reminder of the important, even crucial contributions of camelids to the Sustainable Development Goals. So time is short. Let me get right to the first expert. We are very, very excited to have this wide-ranging panel of experts. And our first speaker is the coordinator of Dairy Asia, Badbatar. Badbatar, you have 5 minutes, and I understand you are sharing the floor with your colleague, Dr. Tahira Mohammed Abadi. So please go ahead, Badbatar.
Hello, everyone. Very good morning, and good afternoon, and good evening. We are greeting you from the Dairy Asia Secretariat in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. Thank you very much to our GASL colleagues for giving me this opportunity to present today. I'm going to talk about the events for IYC, outcomes and lessons. You can see on the slide, last year, for the International Year of Camelids, we hosted and also jointly organized the several events, the key activities. IYC launch event in Mongolia, IYC side event for Asia, Mongolian Camel Milk Cluster establishment, Forum on Mongol Bactrian Camel Sustainable Development, and also we signed the MOU with Ministry of Food, Agriculture, Light Industry of Mongolia, and the Milk Cluster and other events. I'm going to very briefly, one by one. The first, we jointly organized and hosted this launch event for IYC in Mongolia. It was a really high level and very tremendously focused event in Mongolia. You can see on the slide, we welcomed in opening remarks the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Mongolia, State Secretary, EU Ambassador in Mongolia, FAO representative in Mongolia. And also we had the key panelists from the main knowledge partner stakeholders. And we hosted and jointly organized the exhibition as well as the fashion show during this event. And that was a very dedicated event. Why Mongolia should give the key attention to this year? Because Mongolia is the home country for Bactrian camels. Mongolia has the Gobi Desert, and the wild Bactrian camels in Mongolia has been protected, and Mongolia is still preserving the camel culture and tradition. The country has the nomadic animal husbandry with very fast the rangeland. That was quite a successful event. And we also jointly organized the side event for IYC for Asia during this IDF regional dairy conference in Kochi, India. This side event was fully supported and coordinated by the FAO and as well as the NDDB India. So you can see on the slide, we had the key speakers from our very relevant knowledge partners. We discussed about the camel husbandry, environment, camel breeding, camel milk production, culture, and camelid the livelihood, the camel products, the market possibilities, the common facing challenges, and development opportunities. It was really a multi-stakeholder meeting dedicated to the side event, but in our Asian region. The last year, we hosted the series of workshops. The aim was to set up the Mongolian camel milk cluster. So we did that. So you can see on the slide, we could bring together all the relevant stakeholders in Mongolia to build up this cluster. So including the government agencies, private sector, research institutions, industrial associations, and also the international organizations. And all parties agreed to establish this cluster. From DRAG side, we provided the draft of the charter for Mongolian camel milk cluster, and we set up the working group for the preparation of the cluster, and this cluster officially registered last year. That was great dedication to the IYC. And we also hosted and jointly did this national forum on the Mongol camel sustainable. You can see in the slide, we did that. We welcomed the key speakers from the Parliament of Mongolia even. And we had the key participants from the provinces of the Gobi region. We welcomed the camel herders to the meeting. We had the camel milk producers, camel wool factories, researchers, local authorities, industrial associations, and even the decision makers. And during this event, we signed the MOU with the Ministry of Food and Agriculture and Mongolian Camel Milk Cluster. We are expecting our collaborative cooperation to set off the great partnership and cooperation to the sustainably develop the Mongolian camel milk production, this cluster in the country. So I would like to highlight here, based on the series of the events and activities, the regional and national cooperation and knowledge partnership in camel sector quite strengthened. Based on our events, we identified that the camel sector has been facing very common challenges. It's the herders' livelihood, aging herders, environment issues, including land degradation, water scarcity in the Gobi region, and lack of the veterinary and extension services. Actually, this camel, we could say that it's the very low recognized. The market access, value chain, lack of finance, even the supportive policy from the governments, it's needed here. So the public awareness on camel milk has been so increased. We tried to make the public to understand that camel is the multi-use animal. It's raised for the wool, milk, transportation, even the tourism purpose. It's very environment friendly. It's the culture preserving. It's very big role in the nutrition and the public health. We tried, and the public awareness has been quite increased. And the Mongol Camel Milk Cluster co-established is including all the key relevant representatives from the stakeholders, you can see on the slide. And the big signal is that the private sector participation and investment interest increased. That's very good news here. And we had also the region initiative to set up the World Bacterian Camel Association. That's fully supported by all participants, all the stakeholders from this forum, the Mongol Camel and the Sustainable Development. And the Mongolia proposes the camel milk for the FAO initiative, the one country, one priority product, which means that the camel milk is nowadays in the key attention in Mongolia. So thank you very much. I really try to keep my time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Badbatar, and thank you very much for that very exciting list of events and the participation. Very striking to see participation from governments, from camel keepers, the private sector, and the range of activities that camelids contribute to. Really, very exciting. Our next speaker is Dr. Tahira Mohammed, I'm sorry for the mispronunciation, Mohammed Abadi, and you are going to speak to us about camel milk. Please go ahead, and you have 5 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I try to share my slide. I hope I can do that.
Sarah has started to share the slides.
Oh, can you see? Can you see my slides?
We can see something.
Okay.
Yes, I believe they're your slides.
I'm sharing my screen, Tahira, so if that's easier for you, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I know how to make it more bigger.
It's okay, Tahira. You can just tell Sarah to move the slides.
Okay. It's okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. In the name of Allah, hello everyone. I am happy to join you in this important event, and really, it's a big honor for me because I don't have much time, and also I took 5 minutes of someone else. I don't know, but I don't know your name, doctor, but name I don't know his name very exactly. I don't know, but I'm thankful to you to give me this opportunity to share my knowledge on camel milk. Why we consider camel milk as a natural pharmacy? There are many differences between camel milk and the other livestock milk. And now I can review some of them here, the most important differences between camel milk and the other milks. It's like the camel milk is rich in vitamin C, and it can say it has about 3 to 5 times more than the other milks. And even we can say it has the highest concentration of vitamin C among all livestock milk. And it has the higher B3, vitamin B3 and manganese, iron, copper and zinc in compared to other milk, especially in compared to cow milk. And one of the most important property of camel milk, it doesn't have beta-lactoglobulin as allergic protein. And this is very safe to human milk. So we consider camel milk as an great alternative for kids with allergy to cow milk. And some other properties, important properties of camel milk, the lactose of camel milk is more digestible. So we recommend it for lactose intolerance cases. And it has some antimicrobial protein and enzymes like immunoglobulins, lactoferrin, lysozyme, lactoperoxidase, and peptide glycan recognition protein. And all of them are against microbial infections. How about lactoferrin? Lactoferrin is one glycoprotein in all milks, but camel milk has about 10 times it's lactoferrin 10 times more than other milks. And lactoferrin is antiviral, antibacterial, and immune modulatory agent, and especially during a pandemic of coronavirus, we recommend camel milk as a strong antiviral agent because of this lactoferrin. And lactoferrin is higher, is stronger. Camel milk lactoferrin is higher than other milks and is stronger, in activity. And also camel milk has higher concentration of lysozyme as antibacterial and high concentration of high peptide glycan recognition protein and lactoperoxidase. As well as immunoglobulins. I explained about immunoglobulin. Camel milk has very special immunoglobulins. It's 10 times smaller than human antibodies. So in camel milk, we call them nanobodies, and they are very strong against viruses and bacteria. And also, according to many studies, camel milk has about 1.6 milligram per milliliter immunoglobulins, especially IgG. And camel milk contains lactic acid bacteria, special lactic acid bacteria, which are important as strong probiotic or special probiotic against gastrointestinal disease or gastrointestinal infections. But one of the most important, and we can say the most important property of camel milk is anti-diabetic effects. And even we can see there are lots of published articles which are all of them use camel milk in raw or fermented or even freeze camel milk for diabetic cases. and they reach the same result, that is, camel milk is a rich source of insulin. Its insulin is about 52 units per liter, and it will be helpful for type 1 and 2 and gestational diabetes. It's because camel milk can increase the insulin secretion from pancreatic beta cells and reduce the blood glucose, and it reduces the required insulin doses about 30%. It proved in many studies, even we did the same study on some cases, and we reached the same result. And camel milk can prepare about 60% of insulin in diabetic patients, and it reduces the insulin resistance. It is important for type 2 diabetic patients, and all of them cause to improve the glycemic control. So we consider camel milk as a superfood for diabetic cases. So they can use the 500 milliliter per day, as I recommend to my cases, and they reach to they improve in even in diabetic complications. And I think it's finished. Okay, regarding to
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Could you please wrap up quickly? I realize I'm asking the impossible. There's a lot of information here. Please go ahead.
I think this is the last one.
Okay.
I just finished it.
Quickly, please.
Thank you. These materials, ingredients, important ingredients in camel milk, as I explained in previous slides. So we can say, or it proves in many studies and many clinical trials, camel milk in raw and fermented product forms has therapeutic effects, and we like adjunct therapy against some health issues like stomach ulcers, liver disorders, diarrhea, cancer, hepatitis, autism, especially for autistic kids. I have some cases and I recommend them, and really they improve, and they improve their health. And it's effective on cardiovascular disease, skin disease, coron inflammation, arthritis, food allergy, and lactose intolerance issues, and especially the most important property of camel milk is anti-diabetic effects, and also it can be effective on gut infections. And so we consider camel milk as a new protein source for children with allergy to cow milk. So thank you for your attention. If there is any question.
Thank you very much. And, there's so much science there. We could spend several hours discussing this. Thank you very much for sharing that with us in such a compact and short time frame. I remind our audience that we have foreseen about half an hour for discussion at the end after the presenters. And so you're welcome to write your questions in the Q&A. At the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A button. I'd like to quickly move to the next speaker then. Please, could I have, this is Abdul Raki Kakar. My apologies for the pronunciation. You are with Camels for All, and you are the founder of World Camel Day. Please go ahead. Dr. Abdul? Well, it looks like Dr. Abdul maybe has some connection problems for the moment.
No. I am okay. I'm okay.
Please go ahead.
Yes. Just I have to. Okay. There will be no video, so you can hear my presentation properly and correctly. And thank you very much, everyone. If you can see my slides or not.
We can see the final slide. Sarah, are you able to control the slides from your side?
I'm sorry, no, I can't control the slides.
Okay. Abdul, you're on the final slide.
Do you see my screen?
We only see your final screen.
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Maybe, Abdul, I'm going to propose you send your presentation to Sarah and move on to the next speaker, please.
Yes,
until you
please.
sort
Yes,
out the
please.
problems.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Please send your presentation to Sarah.
I have already sent my presentation to Sarah.
Okay.
She has
Okay.
it. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I come back to you, okay?
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Apologies, everyone, for the technical difficulties.
Sorry.
And can I ask Mariana, please, to be our next speaker? Mariana is from, well, you have several, you are based in Argentina. I let you introduce yourself. Please go ahead, Mariana. You're on mute, Mariana. Mariana, you're muted.
Yes, can you see my
Yes, we
screen?
do. Welcome.
Yes, okay.
Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to contribute to this webinar and very thankful for you to invite me. I will present you, sorry, I'm going to change something here. I will present you our findings about Camelids breedings in the northwest of Argentina. As you may know, Argentina is a cattle-oriented country, but family farmers and indigenous people breed mostly goats, sheep, and camels. So for us in the northwest, the big amount of producers are family farmers and indigenous people. So Camelids breeding is very important here. As you may know, in South America, there are 4 species of camelids. We have here 2 domestic camelids, llamas and alpacas, and 2 wild camelids, the guanacos and vicuñas, almost 9 million camelids in South America. In Argentina, here there are almost 200.000 llamas, almost 100.000 vicuñas, and circa 500,000 guanacos. Here you have the pictures. Only a short comment about the livestock systems in the northwest of Argentina. As I said, the most quantity of producers are indigenous or peasants, family farmers. They breed a high diversity of domestic animals. Their flocks have camelids, llamas, sheep, goats, a few cattle and horses, donkeys. The role of the herder is played mainly by the woman of the family, and especially when they are breeding mostly small ruminants. Usually, the family farmers and indigenous people are not owners of the land and face strong difficulties on accessing water, roads, markets, communication, credit, technical assistance, etc. They are very isolated in the high mountains, especially here in the northwest. The main products of llamas are meat and fiber. Here I want to share with you the last trends about the livestock here in the highlands of the northwest of Argentina. As you can see, sheep and goat are decreasing a lot on their head numbers, or better, the number of animals. And as you can see here down in the right, the number of llama herds is increasing, not a lot, but slowly. Yes, we find the explanation for this phenomenon is that for 4 decades, it has been have been many institutions, organizations, NGOs, national and international, promoting camelids production, and not only camelids, but all the plants and agriculture, indigenous genetic in animals and plants. And they were trying to encourage the camelids and production and added value. On the other side, the producers tell us that the camelids are easier to care. And as you may know, in the family farmers always all over the world have a big problem with the labor force, because peasants and indigenous communities usually suffer a strong immigration, especially with the young people, and they are stressed by the labor force specifically. So a livestock easier to care because it's very independent and easier and very well adapted is the best option nowadays. Plus the camelids and in general livestock is considered by the indigenous people here as family members. They speak with them, they care them a lot, they love them a lot, and they are part of the ceremonies and the cosmovision. On the other hand, tourism is increasing, and not only tourists, but mainly them are looking for especially exotic dishes or natural food, or without chemicals and without suffering, animal suffering. That is the reason because of what the producers can receive better prices from their products. And plus, it's interesting to see, as we made some interviews with consumers or with to the doctors in the hospitals, and they are recommending a lot to eat better, healthier meat as camelids meat, because it is very has a big percentage of proteins, maybe better than cow meat, and a low percentage of cholesterol. Speaking about vicuñas, here in the audience, we have a specialist in vicuñas, but I will say about the fiber of vicuña is one of the finest in the world, almost 12 microns, and with very, very good prices. But as vicuñas is an undomesticated animal, they were hunted a lot for many years, and the species became in a very strong extinction risk until it became strongly protected in all our countries in South America. As you see here in the graphic, in Argentina, we had in the 70s 1,000 individuals, and now we have here almost 100 100.000 individuals. And in the last decades, Argentina began to allow communities and private enterprises to capture the wild animals, to exploit the fiber, but it may be done after a very careful management plan, and it requires capacity building for the communities and monitor along the year all the flocks, etc., etc. Here, shortly, I wish to comment you, to share with you some, we have here in the northwest of Argentina many initiatives as cooperatives, associations, communities, working on adding value. Not only they can sell fresh, dry meat, but charcuterie, textile, and some communities have the permission of working with the vicuña fiber and to sell it very carefully. And as you see here in the top right, some private entrepreneurs offer trekkings for tourism with using the llamas as animal of charge. The last remarks, the South American camelids offer an opportunity for the local communities due to their easy management and the new markets. The climate change is already observable in the Andes. We are suffering dryness and the high temperatures, and the South American camelids appear to be the better livestock to cope with this. And many successful experiences emerged to set cooperatives and community organizations to harvest natural fiber, to produce and add value and commercialize. And only a short comment about milk, because milk is not used. Camelids milk, South American camelids milk, is not used here in the South America, but some research have been done, and it appears to be, as it's said here, that it have a very high quality, and it can be a functional food with good perspectives. So this is all for me. Thank you very much for your attention, and remain here for any questions.
Thank you very much, Mariana, for that very passionate look at the role of camelids in South America. The many roles, in particular for indigenous peoples, as you mentioned, the role of women, tourism, just all of these important contributions that camelids are making. We're running a bit behind time, my apologies. Let's move on to the next presentation, which is with Dr. Ilse Roller-Collison with the League for Pastoral Peoples and Indigenous Livestock Development. Ilse, please go ahead. We can see your presentation, wonderful.
All right, hello everybody. It's great to be here at GASL, and my but it's not moving now. My organization is the League for Pastoral Peoples, and we also, one of our activities is that we have put together a map of all pastoralist communities in the world. It's still a map that's in process, and we already have close to 1,000 entries on it. And this map also gives you the opportunity to separate pastoralists by species. And on this map, we have entries of 204 groups of dromedary pastoralists and 19 groups of Bactrian camel pastoralists. So you can see up there the website. It's on the pastoralpeoples.org website, just to give you an idea of the diversity of camel pastoralists we have. I think it's very important to remember the biological features of camels. We all know that they are very much adapted to heat and to drought, but not everybody knows that they're also designed to walk long distances to feed themselves in adaptation to their arid and really scarce environment. So they walk up to 70 kilometers per day to feed themselves, and they really love, and their digestive systems are adapted to very fibrous, thorny, salty desert vegetation that no other animal will touch. They also have a kind of a very relaxed behavior. They have, because they live in areas where there are no natural enemies, no carnivores or so they have no defensive mechanisms, no hoofs, no horns, no speed, some people say. They're very intelligent, they're very curious, but they're also a little bit stoic, I think. But one really important characteristic is that they are very slow reproducers. They have a 2-year calving interval in most parts of the world. So they're very slow reproducers. They also reach maturity fairly late in they don't give birth before they're 4 or 5 years old usually. And this has implications for their management systems in terms of stall feeding. It's very expensive to stall feed camels because they have such a slow reproduction. And the camel pastoral systems, although they are spread over a large area and they are diverse and they have different ways in which they use camels, they also share certain characteristics. So they have the highest degree of mobility, often, or not often, but some of them covering 1,000 kilometers between their summer and their winter grazing areas. Because herd growth is slow, they also share this characteristic that they don't sell female animals. The female animals are only passed on from one generation to the next. And this kind of behavior has the effect that they are mostly closed gene pools. Every ethnic group has its own breed, and which is named after it. And I've come across recent publications saying that there are no breeds in camels, and this is absolutely not true. They are just as varied as horses, where you have racing horses and you have very heavy draft horses. We have the same in camels. So in order to celebrate the International Year of Camelids, we, in January 2024, we tried to get together as many camel pastoralists from different countries as we could. In our center in Rajasthan, and we had people there from Kenya, from Iran, from Mongolia, and different parts of India. And they all shared the same problems, basically, that they are facing land disposition through the lack of, they don't have recognized rights on their traditional grazing areas, and they lose the land rapidly to extractive industries. I mean, like green energy is actually a big problem. Then extension of irrigated agriculture, and so on. So the biggest problem all of them have is the access to land. They also brought out a statement, which is on the FAO website somewhere, and it's also on the website of our organization. And one of the paragraphs in the statement is that they rejected that extractive model of animal production and this shift that's going on currently from these dispersed pastoral system to capital-intensive industrial ways of camel keeping, which is dependent on fossil fuels, chemical inputs, and imported feeds. And they actually spoke up for, a development in the lines of traditional mobile dispersed camel management that is in tune with planetary boundaries. So that was an important output of that meeting. And it is actually true that what we have at the moment, we are witnessing this tradition in dairying. Everybody, is excited about camels now, but the consequence is that people think they can make a lot of money from camel dairying. They invest, but they don't often realize that, camels are such slow reproducers. You need to keep buying camels in order to uphold the size of your holdings. And all these developments, they are dependent on imported feed. So we have these big dairies in the oil-rich countries, and all the feed is imported from other countries, from America usually. So that is not really sustainable. And it's also been written about this issue that's going on at the moment, I think, which we're talking about here too. And when we just must not forget, the ecological value of camels lies in being able to produce food where no other animal can, and that they directly convert the biodiversity. They have extremely biodiverse diets. They directly convert it into directly edible human feed. So if we talk about the future of the camel, it should not just be about performance enhancement, but we must capitalize on its ecological potential. And actually, if we want to benefit from these ecological advantages, we have to support pastoralists, because only they know and they have the capacity to manage camels accordingly and in tune with planetary boundaries. And the best way really to support pastoralists is by ensuring their customary grazing rights and investing in decentralized value chains. And I don't think I've seen much of that really during the International Year of Camelids. It's all about, performance, and basically the approach is a little bit like, turning the camel into a cow. And I think we should be really careful about that. And this is what the approach, so I'm also co-founder of a small camel dairy in Rajasthan. And what we do is we educate people and chefs about the nutritional value of camel milk and about the plants that the camels eat, which all have Ayurvedic properties, medicinal value, and they go directly from the vegetation into the milk, and that makes the milk so much more healthy than a milk that is produced in big holdings on imported feed. These are some of the products we have. We make camel milk powder, cheeses, and so on. And on the right side, you can see some of the plants that the camels are eating. And in the background are some of the chefs that we try to educate about the benefits of camel dairy, because India is not a country where camel milk is part of the diet. In fact, we have to work really hard to make camel milk respectable there. So in sum, this is my plea. Really, we need to focus on setting up decentralized value chains and not just go for mass production, but for high quality, also animal welfare friendly ways of taking the camel forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ilse, and I thank you very much for the reminder, the important role of pastoralism and camelids, and really the cultural values associated with that, but also the ecological values, the values that will help us to achieve our climate goals, and these are all important things to keep in mind, and most of all, the rights of pastoralists, the rights of access to land. Thank you very much for that. For these insights and overview, and for the continuation of this tour around the world of camelids. So now we are moving back to Africa, and our next two speakers are from the International Livestock and Research Institute, ILRI, and I'd like to welcome Dr. Ilona Glutz and Dr. Tahira Mohammed. I don't know who is going first.
Ilona will go first.
Great.
That would be me.
Yes. Welcome, Ilona.
Thank you very much, everyone. Hello, wherever you are on the planet at the moment. Nice to meet you. Thanks for giving me a chance to talk a little bit about the Horn of Africa in particular and about camel disease challenges that we have here. It's really just scratching the surface because as Sin was saying, you know, for each topic we could have a webinar on its own at least, or a whole day. So let me flip through this quickly. So why I put this slide up again is just to remind us where all the camels are. The old world camelids, forgive me for Latin America. I'm not talking of the new world camelids here. But I'm sure some of this can be also translated. So why I've put this up is just to remind everyone that really more than 80% of the camel population lives in Africa, and out of that, the majority in the Horn of Africa and in Chad nowadays. When it comes to camel diseases, we have a huge amount of known diseases in camels. They're viral, bacterial diseases, parasitic diseases, and fungal. And thanks to Mr. Vernery and Kinne and Schuster, they have been doing this immense work on literature review, and they have brought out this Camel Infectious Disorders book now with VOA or OIE then, to give us really an overview of what has all been already diagnosed and seen in the world of camel health. Most of the diseases we can identify are the common ones that we also find in other livestock species like Rift Valley fever or blue tongue or Q fever. What I've highlighted here in red is basically the most prevalent reported camel diseases that we have to deal with in the Horn of Africa, with pox, brucellosis, mange, and trips. The issue with this, and what you see in brackets there, is just to give you an idea if there is really a vaccine available. Mostly it isn't. And then if there are really diagnostic kits available specifically for those diseases, which is also limited. But I'll get to that in more detail. But what I wanted to focus this presentation a little bit more about is all these unknown camel diseases, and everybody who lives here in the region knows that we constantly have outbreak reports, what they call unknown camel diseases, not known camel diseases, a new camel disease. And I try to find official reports of unknown camel disease over the last 20 years. It doesn't look so much, and I think it's absolutely underrepresented with what is really going on the ground, but it shows you a little bit of a trend. So this is mainly here from Kenya, Somalia, and Ethiopia. And what I wanted to highlight is, so yes, a disease outbreak is reported, but often the amount of animals affected is not specified, and then often teams are sent out. But what we usually only send back to the pastoralists is no definite diagnosis. And I've been involved in a few of those. Like in 2007, we had this camel sudden death that came from Ethiopia and Somalia. And we did a huge effort together with FAO trying to diagnose what really the causative agent of this disease was. And we got as far as just suspecting something, a virus called encephalomyocarditis virus, but we couldn't prove it. And the other ones that I want to highlight here, there's one in Isiolo. Mario, I think you're online, you have worked on this. There was an outbreak of some sort of hard water in camels. And again, we got as far as guessing what it might be, but not 100% confirming. And so this is the major issue that we have. So even when we're able to send people out to try and find out what the causative agents are, we mostly don't finalize and be able to isolate the pathogen. Why are we struggling so much? Quickly, I think it is what also Ilse has said, and my speakers below. There's low economic prioritization of the camels because they live in the ASALs with marginalized pastoralists, so they don't attract much investment because globally we focus on cattle, sheep, goats, poultry, pigs as well. Surveillance and diagnostic is really poor and weak in these countries. You know, the infrastructure is low or poor, and then, as I mentioned before, diagnostic kits, if you can get them in the field, which mostly you don't, they are actually not species specific. They are maybe based on cattle mainly, a little bit on sheep at times, and are not validated for camels. Most of the diagnostics are based on symptoms. And there is a huge issue which we need to look into, you know, the role of the known pathogens, the role of the camels in transmission cycles. And none of our countries has really managed to get into systemic surveillance and research. We talk a lot about One Health in the zoonotic framework, but also there, the camel is mostly overlooked, even though there's a lot of unknown diseases that are zoonotic by nature. One has come up and then caused a little bit of a stir. That was MERS coronavirus. But otherwise, they are usually dismissed as common illnesses. Still, we haven't tackled, even for years and years of trying to make drugs and vaccines accessible and available in the field. So this is also the struggle here for the camelid sector. Plus, there are not very specific vaccines available for camels. I think we have pox and rabies, and you can use the anthrax vaccine, but nothing else. Drugs, I think, is only for trips and only one specific one. And also the investment in our capacity of our health sector providers is very limited, because in the universities, you don't teach much about camels. So this is, you know, yeah, it's the marginalized people, it's the pastoralists. So, well, who cares really a little bit, you know, although awareness is there, but not much is done. But often people did understand more economic figures, and so I pulled this up. So apparently we are talking about, with the camel milk value chain of a 14 billion, or the camel value chain of a $14 billion market globally. And if you see, the majority of this is the informal market in Africa. So we have this commercial market coming up that Ilse was referring to as well, mainly in the Middle East and also in Asia and Pacific, but this is more health driven. So I'm full with Ilse, you know, we need to find solutions on the ground, not transferring like informal markets to formal markets for a few people. I don't think that is the solution. But we should bear in mind that on this informal market, for example, there was a study in Somaliland, pardon me, that looked at the impact of TRIPS infection in camels, and that has an impact on roughly $223 million on the camel sector. So that could be put on top of this, what we have here. So I think it is really worth the while to look into addressing this with proper surveillance and response and husbandry practices. And to underline that, I flip over to Tahira, who can talk a little bit really from the voices below. Tahira, I'll flip your slides if that's okay.
Yeah, thank you, Ilona. Can go back to the first slide. Yeah, thank you very much, GASL, and IFU and all the participants. I'm presenting what I did back in 2024 in relation to celebrating the International Year of Camelids. And it is from Northern Kenya, Isiolo County, a photo voice project documenting the voices of the people who do camel milk marketing. This is a small scale business, and the process is like we recruited people into these photo voice processes and trained them on technicalities of taking photos and documenting their daily lives, documenting the challenges, opportunities in camel milk marketing, from production in the hinterlands to processing, cooling, back to marketing, and actually bringing it to Nairobi's Eastleigh Market and various places. And the outcome of this photo voice project, we exhibited at the Pastoralist Leadership Summit in December in Wajir County, Kenya. And it actually showed the voices, people talking about what it means to be producing camels, what are the like benefit and challenges. And for this presentation today, since we only have like 5 minutes, I'll talk about like 6 themes, but the photo voice generated about 13 themes on innovation, on the importance of infrastructure, on also like disease, as Ilona was talking about, how pastoralists are grappling with unknown and even known diseases. So you can go to the next slide, and I talk about the photos and the voices. So the first bunch of the photos is on the health of animals and skills and knowledge required for managing camel. And for this, number one on the left side of the slide, you will see a quote where someone called Ali Mohammed, who's a photo voice participant, was saying, "It's just trial and error. We don't understand how to control emerging camel diseases." So like there are a couple of diseases that the pastoralist noted, and I was following this up with a key informant interview. And one of those things that they mentioned was flu, rhinic, and mastitis, among many other diseases. And also, as you can see from the skin of the camel, like ringworm, and it's something that is very common. They don't have treatment, so they need to grapple with it. So like that is one. And then on the right-hand side of the slides, it shows how different skills, knowledge is required for managing camels for different seasons. For example, the picture that you see, the water pool, herders are trying to clean water for the camel because they said like some of the camels do not drink when the water is not clean. Let's say it's muddy, so they need to make it clean so that they can use. So these are the skills, knowledge that many a time it's not like, like very much apparent, but then it's very much required in managing camel. And then you can go to the next slide. This one talks about the importance of acknowledging the production, especially in the dry land of the wider Horn of Africa, but also particularly Kenya, where we did this project is the importance of safety and security, because sometimes an infrastructural investment, for example, milk chilling facility or cooperative is established in a place where it is not secure because of community conflict or even different kind of insecurities. And sometimes you have a deserted infrastructure. And secondly, one of the respondents from the Photo Voice project was telling us sometimes you are given a cooling truck that collects milk from the farms to bring to town, but because of the poor red network, the cooler truck breakdowns and then it's no longer usable. So when we think of investing in this area, improving camel production, then this kind of thing, security, accessibility in terms of market is very important. And then on the right end of the slide, you see a poster on inclusive value chain. There's this assumption that pastoral communities are patriarchal and livestock is largely owned by men. But in this context, although most livestock are owned by men, but women also manage milk, and they're actually the major beneficiaries, because most of the cooperative, especially in Isiolo, where this work, we conducted this research, is run and managed by women. And the connectors are the young people who connect the milk from the rural place to town through motorcycle transport. So it's a very dynamic and vibrant network that link this urban and rural community. But also another significant thing is how these people, young men and women, make livelihood out of this, because there's this assumption that, pastoralist youth are, migrating and leaving pastoralism altogether. But then through this value chain addition and camel milk marketing, they are connecting their families and their milk to the town. And especially in recent time, where there is improved demand for camel milk because of the health benefit. Some of the presenters talked about the health benefit of camel milk. So there's increasing demand for this, and these people are making the market reliable despite the crisis that is affecting the places. You can go to the next one. Yeah, and then this is the final one. One of the participants who usually collect milk from the farms now experience challenges. And I read a quote at the left side of the slide. The Hassan Jirma said, "As I was coming from Kurkura to collect milk, I had an accident. There was no network coverage, and it was unsafe to leave the milk and motorcycle. So I stayed out late looking for assistance, climbing trees to find network coverage. Milk owners reached out to my family, and a motorcycle was sent to me to find me. All the milk went bad, and I received no payment for that day." And you see the picture of the fallen bike and him climbing the tree. So these people are documenting the real life of how to connect market. Sometimes, as Ilse was talking, marketing, going the cow, the dairy milk, the cow dairy, the dairy option, mechanized, highly, improved. But that cannot suffice what the local producers, those pastoralists, do every day. And for example, like investing in this area does not just mean fancy market somewhere or big cooperative. It is supporting this network and how people access network. For example, mobile network is something important. We think that dryland areas does not need this kind of services, but this is something that make market very accessible, easy, and communication very easy, and it makes the livelihood reliable and also contribute toward eradicating hunger and poverty. And then on the next side of the slide, you see the secure market. There's also great entrepreneurial skill that is coming out from camel value chain. And at ILRI, the International Livestock Research Institute, we celebrated the International Year of Camelids, IYC. We co-organized together with Ilona, and like we were able to bring diverse product from camel. Like we had, like from this picture, you see camel hump, camel meat, like called nyiri nyiri in local Somali language. And then we had camel, like soap. We had camel cookies, camel samosas, all these things. And imagine the kind of livelihoods and the household income this contributes to, because sometimes we consider it as like owning a livestock is a big thing, but then what comes down, trickle down effect economically to women and young people, and helping even support, education and so many things, household food security is something that is often not recognized, but are very much central to how people make life out of like camel and the dryland in general. Yeah, and this work was supported by the Jamil Observatory for Food Security Early Action, and also supported by the community Jamil. And thank you so much for your time. And in case you want to know more about this and some other activities that we are doing on camel, please feel free to join us. And finally, at the International Livestock Research Institute, together with Masico and some private partners and the government of Kenya, we are also in discussion about the Center for Camel Excellence to tackle all these challenges, to understand how, camel disease and vaccines and markets and all these things can be, like tackled in a one kind of setting. Thank you.
That's fabulous. Thanks very much, Ilona and Tahira. Thanks very much for the important role that the International Center for that ILRI is playing in ensuring animal health, camelid health. And thank you very much, Tahira, for the view from the pastoralists, from the practical point of view, from those taking care of camels, many of whom, as you pointed out, are women, and that's really wonderful to have that important role of women highlighted. Can we come back? We are running a little bit behind time, but there's so much excellent information here. We have so many wonderful experts here. I feel that it's important to at least give our experts the time to do their presentations. Can we come back to Dr. Abdul, please? Abdul, are you? Sarah is sharing your slides. Could you please go to your presentation? And we're running short on time. Please be as brief as you can. I know it's a big ask.
Do you hear me properly?
Yes, we hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, and good day to you all, and thanks for the opportunity. I will run on the belt of my presentation quickly, and my point of view is always to rethink about the livestock, especially about the camels, because we know very little about the camel. So next slide, please. Yes, the camel was originally domesticated for milk. So it is the animal which is domesticated for milk in the climate change context. And you can see in the slide that the temperature is going up and up. This year, believe me, in May, we reached 250 Celsius. So the camel is the only solution, the only livestock which can produce in such challenging conditions. Next, please. So, yes, like Ilza said, the camel is not just for meat, for milk, for race, for riding, but the camel is the very important ecosystem player. Here, I used camel grazing in one of piece of land in our farm. The plant, we have only two plants, two bushes of artha plant. When I graze the camel there, now we have more than 2,000 plants of the same species. So the camel is actually the seed dispersal machine, biological machine, who spread the seed on the grazing lands. And also when the camel browse, it stimulates the growth of the plants. So the camel is not only for food, the camel is also for the management of the ecosystem. Next, please. Okay, so the camel is there, like I told, this is the very perfect model because of its unique DNA, unique genome. They can tolerate the very high temperature. They can tolerate the very low temperature. Like we have the best example of Mongolia, the Bactrian camel. The camel is very efficient in converting water and feed into the milk. In the same conditions like we have, I am now speaking from United Arab Emirates. I'm working with a camel farm for milk. So in the same conditions, the cow needs up to 60 liters of water to produce 1 liter of milk, but the camel needs 3 to 5 liters. So the camel is the most efficient machine. And in one study, Epstein, he reported that the camel needs almost 2 kg dry matter to produce 1 kg milk. In the same conditions, the native cow needs more than 9 kg dry matter to produce 1 kg milk. So the camel is actually the perfect biomodel. And the pastoralists, the nomads, the camel keepers, they are the custodian of this precious genetic resource. So next, please. Like I told in the previous slide that the camel is actually the ecosystem management player. So it helps in the planetary health. Because all the bushes, the shrubs, which the other livestock cannot consume, the camel consume and transform it into very precious manure, which is good, which is rich with the microbiome for the soil microbiome. So it is really a very good source of planetary health. So next, please. And my colleague before, Ilza Koller-Olofsson, she said that we should not follow the Holstein-Friesian model, and we should look for the camel from different perspective. Yes, I am agree. I mean, we should support the camels in the natural grazing systems with the involvement of the camel keepers. But we need to produce more milk. There is demand. The people need it. So the farm is like, we have to support the idea of farming, but we must have our own voice there to convince the policy or the farmers to keep in ethical way. Now you see the camels, yeah, we are providing very good floor, dry air, neat place, and you say in the same conditions the cow, the modern cow, that is the situation. So the camel, we can keep them in a very healthy environment. They are very good even for the farm, though there are challenges. Yes. Next, please. And you can see the potential. The camel can produce, if you see the daily average yield, there is 13 liter, 11 liter, 4 liter, 5 liter, 14 liter, 21 liter. So the camel has the capacity to produce more milk. If the food is provided, if the other incentives are provided, the camel can produce. It can be very good farm animal. But again, we have to look to produce the ethical milk, the ethical way of farming. Next, please. And like our colleague before, Tahira Muhammad Abadi, she told a lot about the camel milk health properties. Yes, I have received many calls, many emails from the people. They ask for camel milk, and we tried here in UAE with the different families, different people. The camel milk really works, I mean, it is now the turn of scientists to find what is there. Yes, we know about lactoferrin, about vitamin C, about zinc, about many other things, but still we need, this is like one case, somebody contacted me from India, and when he offered the camel milk, there was very excellent or very prominent improvement in sleep, in everything. Next, please. You know, this was like very famous story from Farghana Valley from Uzbekistan. There the people come from Tajikistan, from Russia, from Uzbekistan to treat themselves with the camel milk. So the people believe, the belief does not come just by magic. The belief come with the results. So the camel milk is really natural pharmacy. Next, please. Before, one of our colleagues, she spoke about the nutritional value, like magical food. There are biomolecules. It is rich with immunoglobulins, lactoferrin. We will see in the next slide. There are food allergy. There is no food. It is free of food allergy. The people have been using it for cancer, hepatitis, autism, other issues. So it really works. Next, please. So there was one very famous story she knows about in India. So the camel is really the camel milk is the solution in the challenging situation like COVID. So I mean many people they were convinced that when they put them on the camel milk, there was a very good result, and they were free of viral infection. Next, please. So you can see with this, you can see there is human, cow, buffalo, camel, goat, ewe. So the camel is a little bit less in lactoferrin than human, and less in lysozyme only from human, and it is like the highest immunoglobulin, which is like we call it the bullets which fight the infections. Next, please. And there is interest. We have one group, Camel for Life International, and we have the people. They have joined from all over the world. And the main focus of this group is the camel milk. So the people are coming to the camel milk. There is very high demand in different countries. In the countries where the camel is very unknown. Next, please. So, there is there was little, 2 or 4 or 5 months before, there was very good publication, meta studies, meta analysis about the role of camel milk in diabetes, in glycemic control. So many scientists, they are convinced, they know that the camel milk really helps in maintaining the glucose in the blood. So next, please. There are many ways because why the people are attracted by the camel milk, because there are results. They are antimicrobial, lactose intolerance. People can use the camel milk because there is lactose in the camel milk, but it is different, or the digestion is at least different from the other lactose. So there are protective proteins in the camel milk. Next, please. So therefore, there are challenges about the camel milk. So I started one policy level initiative. We organized one group, Camel for Life International. We are educating the camel, mostly the camel milk and the camel role in ecological maintenance and sustainability. So we have more than, now there are 300 people from all over the world. We are a force. We are forcing the ethical camel dairying. We are educating the policy at policy level to work about the camel milk, and we are doing south to south cooperation globally. So we have our own website, camelforall.info. Next, please. So I am the guy who started the World Camel Day because camel was like, the people think that the camel is the old world animal. It is the animal of the remote areas. It is the people of the animal of the backward communities. But no, the camel is the solution especially in the climate change context, because the climate is the earth is heating up. It is like burning. So the camel is the only animal which does not need any cooling system, any sprinkler system, anything. They can still survive and produce milk. And the camel produce more milk in the summer, in the hot summer. So this day, 22nd June, is the World Camel Day, and now it is celebrated all over the world. This year we will have one program in New York. Thank you very much. I tried my best to keep it short.
Thank you very much, Abdul. You did a very admirable job. Again, like all the other speakers, a big thank you for all the presentations, really the richness of the research that you have presented, your dedication to Camelids, and the many important contributions that they are making. We are running behind time. My apologies as chair. I have not been able to keep strictly to time, but we do have a few minutes left for questions. Many have been typed in the chat. We will also do our best to respond to any of the questions that we are not able to respond to today. We will see them in the chat, and we will certainly do our best to respond to them afterwards as well. As there has been we have seen a lot of many interesting points about all the important contributions of Camelids. Can I just go through each of the speakers and ask them for, if you had to just condense in 3 points the important contributions that Camelids are making to better health, to better lives, to better environment, to poverty reduction, to livelihoods. Could I ask each of the speakers to give that a try? And let's start with Ilse.
Hi, thanks a lot. No, what I mean, there's so many points, but the one I'm thinking about is that camels may actually play a huge role in carbon sequestration, because there's evidence coming out that scrub vegetation, the kind that camels love, they have huge root systems, and if they are browsed upon, nibbled on by livestock, they sequester. This increases carbon sequestrations in the root system. So by browsing on scrub vegetation, camels really help prevent climate change. This is, I mean, brand new research that hasn't been published yet, not done by us or so, but from somebody I know. But I find this really exciting. And so I think that's what we need to work on. I mean, really, I have to come back to that we need to keep space for the camels, and not just give everything over to green energy or to mining. We need to make a concerted effort in that respect. And as you know, we conserve wildlife, we set up wildlife parks everywhere. We need to secure grazing areas for camels as well in order to benefit from them in the future.
And to do that, we need to help the pastoralists with their rights and access to grazing, to land, etc. Yes, excellent. Mariana, I'm going to pick on you next. What in your point of view are the key points? If I force you to only restrict it to 3 main contributions, Camelids, please go.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think as all the people said here, the camels have a very healthy meat and milk. And here in South America, we don't use the milk, but it can be a good perspective. And for us, it's very important to consider that the indigenous people rights, and they know really how to cope with the desert, the highland deserts. And I agree with the speakers with the idea of the camelids are ecosystem friendly, identity friendly. They produce a high quality of food. So it will be nice to consider them and to improve public policies and infrastructure and their rights, their voices, their knowledge to be put in value for all of us, the researchers and the countries and the governments. Yeah, this is for me important. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, Mariana. From that view, I think more from the research community, but again, pleading the very important case that camelids their contributions to environment and other policy questions that we have on our minds, including nutrition and food security and climate change. Badbatar, from your point of view, please.
Thank you. I think the camel, this so magical animal, I would say that it's very key player
Fabulous.
in the sustainability. So I agree with our speakers. It's the role in the nutrition, public health, and of course in the environment. So I think we need to find the good solution in between. So we need to think of the environment. Of course, we need to think of the same time, we need to think of the livelihood of the camel herders. It's quite a hard life. We all know about that one. So we need to improve the livelihood of the camel. How can we improve this livelihood of the camel herders, you see? So we need to think of the comprehensive, I would say, the value chain. Some of our speakers were mentioning that the ethical value chain, the welfare value chain.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite comprehensive. We need to think of more in detail, more in focus. So the livelihood improvement is the key, I would say. On the other hand, the nutrition, there is the demand in the camel milk. So we need to bring the farm milk to the society, to the market. So we need to find that the good way, I would say that. And of course, the International Year of Camelids, that was a great opportunity to raise the public, the awareness to improve that. So
excellent, and thank you very much for all your efforts in Dairy Asia, and it was quite considerable in supporting the International Year of Camelids. The contribution of nutrition, Tahira, I imagine that you would have some words to say about that. Please go ahead, Tahira Mohammed.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think on nutrition is not just linked to being like having a balanced diet, but also it comes with well-being. And well-being is associated with, if you have food security, like you are insured of your income, you are insured of your food, your children are going to school, and these all contribute to well-being and ultimately improve your health and make you economically and physically kind of able to live your life. And as a result of this, investing in camel value chain and supporting this network that I spoke about, which is like connected to market, connected to technology, connected to infrastructure. If this three network is supported, it ultimately contribute to household food security and have income. And also linking to when we talk about like women who are spearheading this cooperative, they are the main breadwinners. They are the main supporters of the family. So if they have access to this economic independence, then they can kind of be able to improve their household security.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I'm going to, there are several questions in the chat box, or in the question and answered. Many of them have answered, but let me try and find, pick a question here. Okay, actually, I have a question here that I think we could direct to Dr. Abdul, and that's acknowledging the role of traditional ecological knowledge, and thus the importance of nature-culture linkages has become really necessary in the conservation process. And would you have a success story to share with us on this? Go ahead, Abdul. You're muted, Abdul. You're muted. You're still on mute. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we hear you now. Please go ahead.
So thank you very much. I think you know that the camels, the heritage, the cultural attachment with the camels, it is really materializing in conservation of the camel genetic resources. You know, in here in GCC, I mean, the people many people they have no economic returns from the camels, but they keep camel for racing, for as a heritage animal. They keep them and they spend money on the camel to just, because it is part and parcel of their culture and heritage. So there is, I have been with the camel, with the cattle, with sheep, goat, even dogs, cats. I am from a semi-pastoralist community. When you go close to the camel attachment with the human, it is entirely different. Believe me, those who has kept the camels, they will not leave them. That is number one. Number two, now you see I give the example that the camel is like mobile, the modern mobile. There is torch, there is recorder, there is radio, there is you can send email, you can use for telephone. So the camel is the solution for many challenges. You have one piece for many difficult questions. You can keep the camel in very hot weather and still it will produce food for you. The one thing, therefore, I always say that we have to rethink. The camel was domesticated for milk. I will say plus the camel was domesticated for water because the camel eat the halophyte plants which has high moisture content which other livestock cannot consume. So this water would transform into milk. The thin milk was used as a food as well as water. So the camel is the source of water for the people in the hot and the climate-stricken areas. It is the source of food. It is the source of medicine. So these all, things combinedly make the camel, a big move to conserve the camel in their own habitats. So I am sure the camel will be there. The camel is the solution, but just we have to rethink, to redefine the camel things. If you will compare it with the Holstein Friesian, why you keep camel? Because the Holstein Friesian produce up to 100 liter. Then why you keep the camel for 10 liter? Yes, but the camel is eating very less. The camel is tolerating the very high temperature. The camel is drinking very little water, little feed. And it is really, we have to look at the camel as a comprehensive model, not just camel, not just animal.
Okay, great, brilliant. I'm just so pleased to hear all this enthusiasm that we have from our speakers. I'm going to put Ilona maybe on the spot here. There's a question here in the chat. How can we explain the presence of AMR bacteria in camel milk? However, camel milk have antimicrobial action?
I think that would be more a question for Tahira Mohammada,
Okay,
who's the
please.
expert here on camel milk. Maybe I can push that over.
Okay. Tahira, please.
It's supposed to be the other Tahira from Iran.
Yeah, it's
okay. Yeah.
Tahira Mohammada.
Maybe she's muted.
I think she's still. Tahira, did you hear the question? Okay. Tahira Mohammed Abadi? Shall I repeat the question? You're on mute, we can't hear you. Okay, well, let's move on to the next question. And I realize we're running a few minutes late. My apologies to the speakers and the audience for this, but there is just so much interesting and exciting information here. I feel that it's a shame that we don't take advantage of all the experts here. Let me see. Oops, sorry. So maybe we just take one more question, and let me just check in the chat here. Oh yes, we have a question here. How can camel be adopted for global adoption, especially Bangladesh, India, and others? Who wants to take on that question?
I can say something.
Okay, Ilse, please.
Yeah. I mean, they already are being adopted. Now, I mean, like, you know, they're becoming quite relatively popular in Europe now. There are a lot of camel farms are being set up, but I do think there are ecological limitations. So camels are adapted to really dry environments, and they don't do well in you know, places where it's very humid, like, you know, I think Bangladesh is one place, or, you know, the Amazon rainforest, those camels just don't do well. They get sick. So in India, they only occur in the western part of India. And, you know, if you go beyond too far east, then the camels, they just don't thrive. They get infections, they get trypanosomiasis and all these things. So camels do best in really arid environments. And I think that's a limitation. They can cope with cold, but not with too much humidity.
Okay, great. And then if I just take my liberty as chair to ask just one final question, and I'm coming back to you, Ilona. I'm not letting you off the hook so easily. And the question is really about what are the research needs? What can we better do to decrease to manage the risk of zoonotic diseases, and especially, I mean, not only the impact on camelid health, but also on human health, because we all understand we are all part of the One Health paradigm, and so we need to work together on this. Please go ahead, Ilona. And that's the final question.
Thanks for that. I think maybe I can say something on that one.
Yes.
Yeah, so as we have seen, the demand for camel products, especially camel dairy products, will be increasing in the formal and the informal market, and specifically in the informal market. And but the problems with zoonotic diseases transmitted by camel milk is a fact, basically. You know, so we have a survey in Kenya where they checked on brucellosis and marsabit deriving from camel milk, and they reached something like 44%. In Ethiopia, it was somewhere at 13%. So if we increase the production, whichever way we do it, we need to definitely address that. And it comes back to the old story that we've been talking about for decades. You know, it's service deliveries, the support by the government really with its policies, you know, and not only have policies in the drawers, but really implement them with funding behind it. Have a bit of a harmonized approach, engage the private sector, because I don't think veterinary service delivery can be achieved just through the government sector. Bring in the communities as well. I think this can be definitely achieved and needs to be achieved if we want to tackle this kind of diseases. And then from the research side, unfortunately, at the moment, there's really a drop in the interest of developing adequate vaccines, not only for camels. I mean, that's even beyond interest, but even for other livestock species. And I think there needs to be a lot of more awareness to be done. Develop not only monovalent vaccines, but multiplex vaccines where you can go out to pastoralists and tackle a couple of diseases at the same time when you reach the people that are roaming around freely, you know, and are difficult to get. So there is still a lot to be done. And yeah, but the key thing is really we need to get the buy-in also from the governments into that. It cannot only be the development sector to achieve this.
Okay. Governments and private sector and veterinary services. Thanks very much, Ilona, and thanks very much for the important role that IRRI is playing in these global discussions and research, indeed, practical research on animal and human health. Well, as this has just been such a wonderful learning experience for me, so many wonderful presentations. A big thanks to all our speakers, first of all, for the time and dedication and the enthusiasm that you have given here. I think they deserve a hand of applause. All the presentations will be made available to you afterwards, after we have permission from the speakers, okay? So please give us a little bit of time, but you have registered for this meeting, and so we have your email address, and we will, anything that we are able to share after checking with the presenters, we will do that, okay? And there will also be a recording to which you will also be given access to, but please give us a few days to organize this. Okay, so thank you also very much for the wonderful participation from the audience. And I'd just like to give the final word. I know we're very late, but just a final word to the manager of the Global Agenda for Sustainable Livestock, Camilo de Camilis. Camilo, you're on.
Shin, hello everybody. Well, I'm with you to thank all our GASL partners, speakers, participants who joined us today. It was a magnificent contribution by the GASL Action Network, Dairy Asia, Restoring Value to Grasslands, and also to our partners that are here today, IRRI and the members from the NGOs. I would like to actually apologize with all other members that we have in GASL that we actually could not have them all here today in this that has been the International Year of Camelids. And yeah, today basically we heard so much about the magnificent, the important contribution that camelids play on nutrition, on poverty eradication, on food security, even the role of water, and in drylands, and the issues on land tenure and land access, the role of women and youth, and how basically the camelids can enhance development. So it can be an accelerator for the SDG. We also heard some warning messages about animal health diseases and the issues and challenges when it comes surveillance and diagnosis of diseases, and the lack of management measures, and the need to work more in this area. Fundamentally, also the needs to work on accessibility to markets to improve the livelihoods of herders and for development of the sector. Last but not least, the role of camelids when it comes adaptation to climate change and the risk of turning camels into cows and to lose their power in boosting ecosystem services. They are also important from a cultural identity. So here I would like to say that, basically I look forward to continue and take these discussions we had today. Today was not just another webinar. Today we had the multi-stakeholder dialogue that we normally have in GASL, and I'm proud that today we had such a huge diversity of stakeholders with us. And I look forward to build on the findings of these webinars, to continue the discussion in GASL and outside GASL on how basically we can come to tangible results building on these events. So I think everybody, and those that have a glass of milk of camel, they can enjoy, otherwise camel of water is enough. And thanks again, everybody.
Thanks everyone for the magic of camelids. And we're looking forward to actually continuing this discussion as we next have the International Year of Rangelands and Pastoralists. And surely we have many more magical moments to share there. So thanks everyone. Thanks to the speakers. Thanks for you in the audience. You've been very patient. Apologies for being late. And have a nice rest of the day. Thank you very much, everyone.
Bye. Take care.